Here we are at the Galago Pen where the impalas are having a drink at the moment, and there's still no sign of Hosanna from the bushes. The signs of Hosanna are just on the ground. We have seen quite a lot of fresh tracks in the area. Some of the tracks are from yesterday, whereas some are from this afternoon. And I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the team and apologize for the inconveniences, and thank you very, very much for your patience. You can still follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. Look at that impala I was drinking. The water is too little there. Today, elephants were here. Maybe they were drinking too much and they were spreading a lot of water. These impalas, for them to drink, they are going down their knees. But they are looking at something. Maybe they will lead us to something. As I indicated, we saw a lot of tracks. Let's see. This is a new experience. You can see animals are too clever. You will see that impala going down on her knees. I just don't want to talk because they can hear me, and I just want us to see this. These impalas are not comfortable. So these impalas are not comfortable. I don't know what is causing this. You can see these two, they didn't get enough. And they were hesitating to get to that water hole. So I must have to check the direction where they were looking. Maybe we might be lucky. So let me just quickly check here by the eastern side of the pen. Maybe we might be lucky and see something out of these trees. They were all looking at one direction. They were looking at this side. Chris, they are so very much wary because they know that Hosanna is not trustworthy. Here by the drainage is very cool. The temperature is completely different, but it's quiet at the moment. I am not seeing anything here. There's just quite a lot of green trees. Maybe they have... I can hear some Frank Collins giving some warning calls where the elephants headed earlier on. So here where we are, maybe is where Hosanna is. I'm just going to keep following this drainage line. Maybe our luck is on this side. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara where David is also driving, looking for something. I'm not David. By David's side, so we are still looking for something here.
Check your heading.
Yes, it's fine.
No.
So I think there is a problem with the network here. I am trying to check. So maybe everything is fine now. I was losing some communication. Apologies for that. So maybe we're gonna be lucky by the eastern side of the Galago Pen. We're just gonna pass also the Vuyotera Pen. He might be somewhere here, hopefully. I am also very much happy that Hosanna is now around here out of Torchwood. So now let's cross over to Pat, who is also out on a game drive.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Patrick. I have tagged out with Steve Ovo, and now I'm in the hot seat. So we still have Davicito joining us on camera. And what we are looking at is a young Battalier. So if you have any questions or comments about this little young bird, or was quite big, but it is young, then please send them in using that hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream. So it's quite a beautiful bird. Actually, the genus name for this bird, the Battalier, is Terathapius, which means brilliant head. And we can't really see too well at the moment, but they do have quite a nice red face when they get older and mature. And their species name is Equadatus. So it's Terathapius equadatus, and equadatus means shortened tail. Now, it is a little bit longer in the young ones, but as they do grow up, it will start to reduce in length. And this actually does serve a purpose for them. It allows them to reduce the drag so they can go lower. So they can fly a little bit lower than vultures and other scavenging birds. So they'll usually be the first ones at a kill because they are closer. Max, do Battaliers travel in pairs? Well, there was actually another one just sitting with this one before, but it has flown off, unfortunately. But they will form breeding pairs, yes. But that's not for quite a while yet. And these ones, these young ones, they don't look exactly like the adult. I did say that a little bit earlier. And that is because it will take them 7 years or so to get their full adult plumage. So to get the pretty much the feathers that the adults have. So that's a long time for a bird. And as I was saying, they also have that longer tail, and that is pretty much like putting training wheels on a bike. It helps them to stay balanced because they do have that reduced drag. So you will often see when they're flying, they will kind of tilt on a plane, which is also where the name Battalier comes from, like a tightrope walker. Because you'll see them swaying from side to side, just like a tightrope walker with a big long stick. Joby, well, Battaliers are actually scavenging birds, so they will patrol, just like a vulture will, patrol the sky and use their vision to try and seek out food, and then they will land. Generally, they won't eat before the vultures though, because they need bigger animals to come and break it up, to break the carcass up so they can get in there with their shorter, not so strong beaks. They still do have strong beaks, but not as good as the vultures or other animals that would open up the carcass for them. Well, that was a nice little sighting, but I think it's time to move on. I'm going to head northward up to Buffelshoek Dam and see what's happening there. In the meantime, I'm going to send you over to David Gadou in the Mara. Let's see what he's up to.
Well done, Pat. And I think of all the eagles I know of in the world, Battaliers, are the most beautiful eagles. And the huge difference, I'm sure, Pat was explaining, of adults from the youngsters when they're not fully fledged. Well, I got something different here, and I got a Thompson gazelle. And this is the main food for cheetahs, especially here in the Mara Triangle. This is a Tommy. So this is a cheetah country. The only thing is I would not know where the cheetahs are. Hello there. What are you thinking? Are you happy you've survived the day? It's time to have a little scratch. Yeah, rains could be coming. That's why you see them running up and down now. And either they can smell the rain, crossing the road there, jumping the water, how fast. And I would say of the animals of this size, these to me are the fastest. That's a different gentleman. And again, the animals of this size, we have these toppies being pretty fast, but say their cousins that I call the hartebeest or the Congoni are the fastest. This is the toppy. And toppies, just like the Thompson gazelles, both males and females, will have the horns. Not sure what she is looking at. I wouldn't be able to tell. There's a she or a he at the moment. I could be definitely getting an attention of something at the back. It's nothing out of the ordinary. Antelopes once in a while will need to eat, stop and look up and make sure their surroundings is safe. Bob, well done. Great comment. Yeah, toppy and toppy, I would say, Bob, are some of the most beautiful antelopes we got in Africa. And I'm talking about looking at the different colors. You look on their bodies, they're the animals that will have better tones of colors, unlike maybe the normal antelopes that you will see. You look at that one there, Bob, running. It's maybe trying to excite you, Bob, and saying, yeah, you say, yeah, toppy. And the toppy is saying, okay, Bob, you're happy? Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of a better show. Thank you, Toppy. Very well done. Good zebras in the background there, walking on a single file or in a single file. That's very typical. You'll always have maybe a stallion or a male with 2 or 3 wives and the youngsters in the middle. Magic Dragon Wizard, yes, I agree with you. And what I want to do, I want to reposition myself and maybe give you a different view and a better view. Keep watching Magic Dragon Wizard, because you will never go wrong with our beauty or the wilderness of the Mara and Juma. Okay, it's getting a little dark, but I think this will be the time to get a few predators out. Thinking of hyenas maybe, thinking of lions. I was saying earlier, I saw the Olororo pride of lions this morning out on a drive, and I saw 2 males that we call the Kichwa males very close to them. Nobody have seen them this afternoon, not even any of my friends, but I think the area they stayed in, they must have repositioned themselves, or they went looking for some prey in a different area. So I don't want to go back where they were. I want to go to a different area, hoping and crossing fingers I'll be able to spot them. It gets dark here very quickly, and as it gets dark at one point, we shall be assembling our infrared. Christian Lane, you said this is cool, and thank you for joining us. Always keep watching us. We are always out 2 times in the day, in the morning and in the afternoon. And from East Africa here in Kenya, we are always out from 6 o'clock in the morning to about 9 o'clock in the morning. So, and we'll always be bringing you some exciting moments. We've got a tractor which is meeting with us, and their job is always to take care of the roads. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having joined us. I want to show you something more exciting. I want to show you zebras, a big herd of zebras and some trophies, because you just joined us today. And just showing you some of the, exciting experiences we show all our viewers all the time. Okay, I'm going to stop here and just look at that and tell me what do you think of that. And all these animals are coming towards us. We got toppies, we got zebras, and all looking in very good shape. Some being very playful. It's a youngster there. Time to run. I'm not sure why they're running. Either they can smell the rain and they want to go to higher grounds, and the toppy crosses the road. And I'm sure nobody's going to ask me why did the toppy cross the road, or why the zebras crossing the road. And my only guess is they're going to much higher grounds. Those 2 have an issue with each other. Oops, no. They're having a bit of mounting there. There could be 2 birds, 2 lovebirds there. And the zebras come running. I'm sure we all know horses. Maybe similar or same family with zebras. Running, galloping. Everybody looks very happy. And I think once it rains, it's green, it is cool. There's a lot of water everywhere. Very lush grass, very soft grass. I think everybody enjoys this kind of weather. little drainages there. They have to jump in with the small one. Nobody wants to get in the mud. And I'm imagining most of them has been spending the better part of the day feeding. So they once in a while get what we call foot rot that would affect their hooves if they have so much mud or they stay so much or they spend so much time in the water or waterlogged areas. Maybe they want to go now to much higher grounds that are much drier. They keep walking all in a single file. And as I was saying earlier, you could have maybe a few males here, a few stallions with a couple of wives or females, a lot of mares and their young ones. And they'll always make sure they put the young ones in the middle of the group. They don't want to get chances for the youngsters with predators, especially lions. And these are what we call the common zebras. In the background there you can see a small little hut of a game ranger. What are you up to? Well, my zebras have crossed the road, and Sydney could be looking for an animal that once in a while is known to go for zebras and toppies.
Hosanna is one of those animals who has been hiding for quite a while now, and I want to try by all means and make sure that we see him tonight. So maybe he's going to wake up later on here after the sunset, but I'm checking all these drainage lines and I am not seeing anything, and all these big trees. He is really hiding away from us today, and it has been for a while. Maybe he is using the concealment too much to hide. But let's cross fingers. Let's hope for the best. Maybe it's going to be our lucky day today. So I can't wait to see him too. I haven't seen him for quite a very long time. So the last time I saw him, he was going to touch wood, and that has been a few days ago. So the bush is green everywhere. All these areas has recovered now. So the rain covered the whole game reserve. Only the eastern part, the grass is still very much dry. The western part received a little bit of rain compared to here where I am. I saw it while I was on a guided walk this morning. And that is true. He must be somewhere hiding by the shade. It is so very green, and all the bushes are very thick here, and the drainage lines are also very much green. So it's not easy these days to see these animals. So now let's cross over to Pat, who has got a hippopotamus at the moment.
The HIPPO hippopotamus took one look and tried to swallow us. Is a song I remember very fondly from my childhood, but it's actually also probably true. If you get between a hippo and his water, it will not end well for you at all. They are very defensive when it comes to their water, as it is essential to their lives. If they spend too much time out of the water, their skin will start to dry up, they will dehydrate and eventually perish, unfortunately. But luckily for this one here, the Buffelshoek Dam is starting to fill up a little bit. There definitely has been an increase in water. This place was desolate a couple of weeks ago. There was barely a drop of water to be seen. This one is basking very peacefully. Kathy, have I met Scuba Steve? Well, I'm not actually sure whether I have met him yet or not. I have seen the clips of Scuba Steve. I am acquainted with him, but I'm not sure whether I've actually seen Scuba Steve or not. But I would like to go for a scuba dive with Scuba Steve. I'm not sure what I'd see here. Maybe a catfish, a terrapin or two. Probably about 50 centimetres of visibility, if that. Now, what's really cool about hippos is that what's interesting about them is that they are on the plane. All of their organs are on the same plane, or their sensory organs anyway. So we can see that their nostrils, their eyes and their ears are all kind of sitting in a straight line, which allows them to put a lot of their body under the water while still having those sensory organs available to them. Means they can see, they can hear, and they can smell. Patricia, will baby hippos follow their mother out of water at night? Yes, a baby hippo has a very strong bond with its mother for the first parts of its life, and actually for the first 2 weeks of its life, the mother will take it away from any herd that it's with, and they will actually, or any pod, sorry, should I say, that it's with, and they will actually imprint. And what this is just pretty much spending time with the mother, getting to know them, really starting to recognize them, and then they will form that strong bond that we so often see in mammals, such as, well, aquatic mammals such as the whales and manatees, dugongs, which are all close relatives of the hippopotamus. Yes, I would love to see some baby hippos too, everybody. I have seen them before here and they are so cute. I think just about any small version of an animal is so much cuter. I think that might be a little bit of instinct as well. When we see something small, we feel an affection towards it. We feel some sort of positive emotion towards it, so we don't want to harm it. And I think that is just instinct across a lot of animals. It's heart-melting sometimes, seeing little babies. There are a lot of terrapins swimming around. We can see lots of little heads poking up. Of course, being testudines, sorry, they are grouped with turtles and tortoises as well. So yet another link between the aquatic and the terrestrial environment. Now, terrapins are mostly aquatic, but you do occasionally see them out of the water. There's lots of heads poking up at the moment. Lorena, I also would love to see that. She wants to see one of the terrapins climb up onto the hippo. And funnily enough, it is something we do frequently see. So hippos do play a few ecosystem services, and one of them is actually as a little micro habitat. So we'll see often birds such as oxpeckers and other birds taking refuge, but as well as other animals like terrapins, tortoises, any other aquatic creatures we have here. It's quite a sight to behold. I do enjoy seeing it. Yeah, it's sounding really nice. It's a really calm evening, only a very slight breeze, and the sun is just starting to reach its setting stage now. It's one of those moments where you feel very blessed to be out here doing what we do, soaking it all in. It's beautiful. Well, I might stay here in the shade a little bit longer But let's send you over to my good friend Sydney, who is still searching for leopards.
Still in the middle of a search, and oh, elephants. We found some elephants here now, but I'm only seeing one. I just want to move forward so that we can have a better sighting. Oh, there's more. It's quite a few of them here. So now we are just seeing about two, but there must be more than two. So you can see that the elephants are feeding at the moment, and where they are, there's a very nice shade. They don't have a problem at all. You can see the African elephants, they have got a flat back, which is one of the difference between African elephants and the Asian elephants. And in terms of the size, African elephants are much bigger. And if you look at the ears resembles the African map. Look at that. Every time the ears are moving to cool the body temperature there. So these animals, they've got to defecate after every 45 minutes. And 45 minutes is too very small. Some other people will tell you after having marulas, elephants maybe get drunk, but I'm not sure if that has been scientifically proven. Considering the amount of time before they defecate, I think is too small in order to facilitate fermentation. But maybe it's proven, I am not too sure. So elephants, they eat sickle bush. And sickle bush, we can eat the leaves and chew them. We don't have to swallow them in order to relieve hangover. So it means if it's true that they get drunk, they can also easily get rid of the hangover from feeding on some of these bushes here. So the trunk for these elephants, is very powerful. They can push something like approximately 9,000 kilograms. And that is quite a lot. They can collect 8 liters and more of water just from that probe. Listen to that. The sun is still high up, but we can hear the pale spotted owl giving some calls at the moment. So maybe it's getting excited that the sun is heading towards the right direction for them to be active. So it means where this owl is calling from, because it's not very far, the other small birds are not seeing it, because normally they inform each other and form a mob and chase these kind of predators. So we are now going to carry on with our search, moving much more back towards the Galago pen. Maybe we might be lucky at the water hole there. But for now, let's cross over to one of my colleagues.
Welcome back. Now, I did want to stay with this hippo for just a little bit longer because I actually remembered quite an interesting little tale about hippopotamus. So I'm sure most people are aware of Pablo Escobar, notoriously renowned for some pretty bad things, but we all know that he was very, very rich, and he liked to collect exotic animals, so animals not native to Colombia. What actually happened was that he had 4 hippos on his property, and after his catch and death, the government couldn't deal with the hippos. They were too big to export out of the country, so they stayed in Colombia and actually reproduced and now have a stable population there in Colombia. which is pretty incredible. Now, they haven't really done a whole heap of study into it, but just from what I've read, it seems like they're actually doing their ecosystem not too badly. So often introduced species can negatively impact an ecosystem, but it seems where they were introduced, they are helping, because they do a bit of ecosystem services. Obviously they feed out of the water and they defecate in the water, so they're bringing the nutrients into the water and allowing the algal blooms to start, which then can feed the whole water ecosystem. As well as that, their trampling also creates different channels and pathways to the water to allow water to better come in. And as I said before, they also create refuge for a few symbiotic animals. Look at that stare. Ooh. Daniel, they do have small ears, very small ears, especially in relation to their body. Look at that, they look so ancient to me, especially when they have most of their body submerged. It's so gorgeous. Monique, would hippos survive in Australia? I don't see why they wouldn't, especially in temperate regions. Well, yeah, most regions of Australia. I mean, there's a lot of rainfall in some areas, a lot of big water sources, and some of our pastures, some of our land is very fertile in areas, which means that there'd be good grasses for grazing. So yeah, I do think that they would survive in some areas of Australia. That would be quite a scene to see. A hippo in Australia. I'm sure, actually, I'm positive at some of our zoos we do have them there, but definitely not in the wild. That's one thing that I am enjoying about Africa, is that we do have a lot bigger mammals here than we do back home. Obviously we have a lot of marsupials, but they're all pretty small. We don't have these big ones. But it seems like David in the Mara has found himself some lions. So let's go over and see what David Kadu has got to show you.
To an area where I expected to see the lions or the pride I saw this morning. It's still a bit dark and quite a distance from where we are. But I think what we got here is the Olololo pride, and in the background there, and we've just been hoping they can come a little bit closer, because this area is a no off-road area, and if you look carefully you can see one standing there, and that's a female there, not looking very clear because it's quite a distance from where we are, and I'm just hoping you can see the eyes popping out there, and I'm just hoping they'll come a little bit closer to the road. You can see the eyes there shining. It's one of the females. And I had seen two of what you call the Kichwa males with them. And that's why we are using infrared now, because you see everything looks in black and white. Like in South Africa, you see everything now, the ball game has changed. We were in better light before, and we are ahead of South Africa by 1 hour. It's about what? I'm looking at my watch now. It's about 7 o'clock now, and in South Africa it's 6 o'clock. So 7 o'clock here is already too dark. And that's why after it gets dark, we still continue doing our game rays, and we use infrared. And the reason for that is to avoid shining any artificial light to all the animals that we see out here in the wilderness. And what that does, it helps not to interfere or affect their behavior. Should they be going for a hunt, they continue doing their normal business without being bothered by our presence. So what I'm hoping is for them to come a little bit closer to the road. And you see the downside of IR, apart from, like, you can see one moving there, it's only dark, and lions or all animals will move or will look black and white. There's one female moving there. And this is the Olololo pride. When they're all together, this is the largest pride we have in the Mara Triangle. and when they're all together, they're only 16 in number. So hopefully they come closer to the road, and I'll continue waiting. But as I do that, I'll take you back to South Africa, to Sydney.
I am still following on Hosanna. I am not going to leave him today. So I am on the Galago shortcut going back to the Galago pen. Now I'm glad that the sun is going down. If he was too restricted by the strongness of the sun, it means he might now wake up and start moving around. So the thing is, I'm not too sure if his bellies are full or he must have to come out and look for the dinner. But I have checked everywhere. So it means where I left him, where I left the tracks, he might be somewhere in that area, because the tracks are not coming out anywhere by the other side of the Galago pen. It's just from the southern side of the game reserve. Maybe something is keeping him busy. Maybe he got something already. And there is no alarm calls given by the animals. Sure, that is what I am looking for. I must find Hosanna today here, and I am concentrating by all means. I am using the eyesight, the sense of smell, and the hearing ability at the same time. So I am going to leave, I'm not going to leave any stone unturned. Here by these bushes, I am checking thoroughly everywhere. We have been praying for the rain, so the rain brought us the thick bushes, which is something very good. So because of this kind of the weather conditions with the rains and the grass is getting excited and the trees, animals are now having a nice place to hide. You can see those birds now making noise. It's one of those birds who just got back now. That's the woodland kingfisher. That's quite a lovely song. When they're starting to give these calls, you must know that now we are really in summer. So these are the ones who give confirmation about the summer season. It is such a beautiful sound, and they are very much vocal. That sound, it can travel long distance. It's quite very loud, nice and clear. So you cannot confuse the woodland kingfisher with any other bird. So now let's quickly cross over to the Masai Mara, where David is also busy looking for something.
Well, I am totally in the darkness, and it was rather difficult to see the lions before, but they woke up and they started walking away from me, but I have taken a different route, and I think we might be seeing them, because now there they are, and much closer than before. They have come much closer to us, and how lucky to see the whole pride just walking in front of us. And again, as I said earlier, everything in here now looks black and white because we are already in infrared, region being it's dark, and we are 1 hour ahead of South Africa. And this is the Uluru Pride of Lions, or the Uluru Pride on the move. And it's just starting to spit now here. And what happens, I've known lions doing very well in terms of hunting in the rain. So two things help them to have pretty good cover: darkness and rain. Because when it rains, most, I would say, of the prey get a little bit confused. Oops, that was a big sneeze, bless you. It's a huge sneeze from that youngster there. And they're all on the move, and I'm trying to imagine they could be going somewhere to look for some prey. That one have just stopped. Kitty, they're on the plow, you're right, and I think we might be seeing some little action if it doesn't get to rain very heavy and you put the flaps down of our car. We might be lucky to see some action. Now, this pride, when all together, they are 16 in number. When they are all together, they're 16 in number. It's the largest pride we have, the Mara Triangle, but so many male youngsters in it, and I think 4 fully grown females. Then we have the coalition of males that we call the Kichwa boys, or the Kichwa males that will hang around with them, which are 3 males. 2, one of them called, 2 got names. One is called Fang, and the other is called the Half-Tail. And as their name suggests, one has a tail that's like cut halfway, and then Fang is missing a tooth. And sometimes that will happen because of age or when they're fighting with other males. Males coalition tend to fight a lot. So what we're going to do, we're going to try and follow these lions a little bit and see where they're going before it starts spitting. You can already see I have my spotlight on. I need to see where I am going. And one of the challenges we have at the moment, even when it's not raining, we have lots of rats on the road. And if you make a mistake and you get yourself in those rats, then you're in a lot of trouble. So the lions are in front of me, and I might just stop here, give you one more view. I don't want to follow them so closely because I don't know what they want to do. Let's see if we can catch up with them for a few more seconds, and because I won't just stop and wait and let them go and follow them after a couple of minutes, because following them it'll mean me switching on my light, which is not what I want to do. So let them keep going, and I might have to take a different route and walk as it's just spitting now and coming on our face. Hopefully it doesn't get very big, because if it does, we'll have to put our flaps down. And maybe as I bring my flaps down, let's go back to South Africa, 2 parts.
Well, David, it looks like you and I are having completely opposite problems with the weather. It is definitely not spitting or even close to raining here. It is very hot, but there is some refuge, a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, or darkness at the end of the tunnel. The sun is starting to set, and isn't it beautiful? We've just caught that light through the trees here and thought, well, we have to stop and show you all. It's not always the animals out here that we love to see. Sometimes it's just nature doing its thing, whether it be a big storm, an epic sunset, anything in between. We always love to see the shows that we don't have to really work for or tune into or anything. They just happen, and we just happen to be there for it. Jonathan, amazing, definitely. I agree with you, Jonathan. It is amazing, and that is only one word that you have used to describe that, and that's just triggered something in my head. I think we do something along these lines. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar now with our one-word tweets, so please, using that hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream, give us a one-word answer to the description of this sunset. I will be eagerly awaiting. And just while everybody's typing and deciding, I'm going to stay quiet for 20 seconds just so we can really soak in the atmosphere right now. Isn't that beautiful? I almost fell into a deep trance and transported my soul to another dimension. Kitty, arty. Well, that is quite an arty answer. Something out of the box. I really like that. Definitely a not so often used descriptive word. So thank you for that one. Very good. Now, we were making our way to the hyena den. So let's move on from this sunset and go see if the little hyenas want to come out. We still have the 3 cubs. They are just getting cuter and cuter by the day. I haven't seen them for a while, so it's always good to go in and check in. You can learn a lot by hanging in the hyena den. They have very complex social structures. And so it's nice just to sometimes sit back and observe the comings and goings. Almost like a little reality TV show. Paula, I'm glad you're excited that I'm going to the hyena den. It is a very hot day, so they probably will be coming out a little bit later tonight, just as it gets a bit cooler. But hopefully it is around this time. They're still at that curious stage, the cubs as well, so it's very cute to see them come up and sniffing around, still learning the world around them, all fresh and starry-eyed. Nola calls it family time. Yeah, it definitely is. Kind of feels like an extended family after spending so much time with them. But, yeah, beautiful. Well, unfortunately, Sydney still hasn't found Hosanna, but that isn't from lack of trying, and he's still on the search. So let's cross to Sitters.
I am now going to check the Galago Pen area as the Viotella. I'm going to check the Viotella Pen area from the Galago Pen, as by the Galago Pen I did not see any fresh signs there. The fresh sign got disappeared around the quarantine, but the time now is getting there for this kind of predators to become active. So he must be somewhere here between these 2 pens. But he's going to come out to go have a drink on one of them. No, we have been checking the ground and the trees and the termite mounds everywhere because we are not sure if maybe he caught something in the area. But the tracks that we saw coming towards the quarantine, they were convincing. We are very sure Hosanna is somewhere here. He's going to come out somewhere here, maybe later on. Oh, there is some squirrel making noise. So I hear the squirrel just giving some call now. Not too sure if it's a territorial call or it's a warning call. He just gave it once. Oh, it's quiet now. So the squirrels, they've got an advantage of seeing far because they're high up on top of these trees. Hosanna is still very young to find a girl. He's just going now to get to 3 years by February next year. And from there is when the testosterone level is going to start building up. And hopefully when he's about 4 years and above, is then that is going to start displaying his ability to establish his own territory. Yeah, so far we are not picking any scent, but the scent marks which is left behind mostly by the cats, it does smell like a popcorn. So there is still quite a very neutral smell at the moment here where we are. So I'm going to try a little bit of Muluwati coming up the Viotella pen. Maybe we might be lucky somewhere here. So now let's go and experience some rain of the Masai Mara with David.
Well, this is where I found myself because the rains have started and my lions have taken a different tango. I thought I'd be able to catch up with them and find out where they're going, but they went in an area which is a bit wet and very soggy. And I don't want to take a chance to get to an area like that, especially in the darkness and when you're getting more rain. So what I'm doing is just driving and I'm stopping every few minutes and listen to what I hear them calling and then getting my spotlight out and then shining it outside, see whether I could see any eyes. And the only thing I can now hear is just a choir of frogs. A lot of tree frogs now doing, or rather a chorus of frogs instead of a choir, a chorus of frogs. Yeah, I think it's a choir of frogs, yes. And that's all what I can hear. Very busy frogs at the moment. Also enjoying the rains that's coming down. But I can't see any of those lions. So either they went and they're trying to lay an ambush on something. The cats tend to see better than us at night. But in the meantime, we just keep driving. And that's great audio, you know, from the frogs there. And you never know. It has happened many times when it rains like this and the ground is wet, the grass is very wet. The predators, because they found their body, they don't like the wetness. They'll always come and lay on the ground. So hopefully we are going to catch something. And I have to put my head on the side of the car just to make sure I see where I am going because it's totally pitch black. And even if you use the spotlight, you know, in front of the car or headlights, they're very subdued. We never use very powerful ones not to interfere with animals. You might get into an animal crossing the road, like say a white-tailed mongoose. You don't want to shine bright light on his eyes. If you're just about to catch something, then you're going to affect that kind of hunt. Sometimes when you blind an animal also not very healthy because they won't be able to do their thing. Elephants may not be very much affected by the rain. To them, all is good whether it rains or not. And hopefully I'll be able to get some elephants close to the road. Buffaloes the same. The animals that get big concern of the rain are the small little guys and more so cats. I'm talking about impalas. You know, all antelopes, you can tell, they tend to remain in one particular area, culling themselves, because the rain also brings with it too much cold, and especially if it's very heavy. We didn't get a drop yesterday, so from the area I was in, Tristan was rainfall yesterday very heavily, and me it was the day before. Hyenas could be another good candidate for me to get on the road like now. but I'm just trying to hope either the white Kelmungus, hyenas, or scrub hares. It's a very good time for them to come out. Thank you very much. I'm always very careful. I remain careful until the end of the drive. Stay on the big dry road. And I think Sydney is still driving and working very hard to get Hosanna.
I am now heading towards the Treehouse Dam to go and try my luck there, as it's not very far away from where those tracks are. An animal from the quarantine can decide whether to go to the treehouse area or the Galago pen or the Viotella pen. So I am going to try there so that when the sun goes down, heading back towards the Galago pen, maybe it will be perfect for this kind of a cat. Now it's nice and cooler. The sun is down already. Mrs. Leftwing, I have checked everywhere so far, and still I've got a lot of hope that we're going to find him. So I'm going to check that area of Treehouse and then come back again towards the quarantine. Patrick, that question is very much important and is very much unpredictable. But what is going to happen is every time between a male and a female, between male leopards, father and a son, is what happens. At the end, one of them is going to kick out the other. But at this stage, it's difficult to tell because Hosanna is growing and he's got quite a lot of strength at the moment. Tingana is getting old at the same time, so you might find that the time Hosanna starts to be aggressive and try to challenge for the territory is when Tingana's level of aggression and strength is going low. But I can promise you the chances of Hosanna to take over this territory are very much slim when considering the following. This territory has got some other observers who are waiting for a chance, such as Hukumuri, who are also common residents in this area, and those ones are not as old as Tingana. And they have been seen also wanting to challenge Tingana. In other words, Hosanna is nothing to them. So there is going to be an interesting challenge amongst the males when it comes to this territory. So now we are not far away from the Treehouse Dam. I haven't heard for quite a while the sighting between Tingana and Hosanna at the same place. But mostly that kind of sightings is much more attracted. It's a sighting where one of them gets attracted by food. When Hosanna has got something, Tingana comes. When Tingana has got something, Hosanna comes. You will see them together now, but soon as Hosanna starts to demarcate or give out a scent which gives a strong signal about the level of dominance, they are not going to be sharing the food anymore. Polecat mama. There are advantages of being a solitary hunter. One, there is not much competition when the food is caught, when the food is available, when the prey is caught. And the disadvantage is that chasing an animal and killing it alone, drag it up into a tree, it needs quite a lot of strength. And competition on the ground when it comes to the hyenas is always very high. So that is the disadvantage. So we are now the leopard is one of those animals where I come from is very well much respected. The leopard is associated a lot with the chieftaincies, not only the leopard, together with the lions. So the leopards in Venda, they are so very much respected, and during the inauguration of the Queen and the Kings, the leopards get praised a lot. The symbol of leopards in the form of traditional dress, you will see them as well. So it's looking very quiet here by the tree house dam. Only the Egyptian goose are here. No sign of Hosanna, which is a clear indication that I have got to go back to the quarantine area. I'm not going to give up now because I am not specifically looking for a Hosanna where I am. In the bush, you can always come across something very interesting unexpectedly. Always expect unexpected. While looking for Hosanna here, we might come across something interesting. So it's not like we are spending all the time looking for Hosanna instead of going and look for something else. Everything is happening at the same place. So if we see any other interesting animal, we will show you. So now let's cross over to David, who is still driving in the rain.
Well, very true, Sydney. Once you're out in the bush, you never know what you see or you never know what happens. Initially, when I was leaving the camp around 4:35, 4:40, we did not have any single sign of rain, and here we are now, being caught with rains. I wouldn't know we have seen, would have seen those lions that we saw. There they were, as much as they have disappeared and taken a different direction. Yes, you just have to stay here and hope for the best and just prepare for yourself for the unexpected. Well, I haven't seen any unexpected as yet because it's still continuing drizzling, and I'm tucked in here in the car, trying to keep warm and trying to keep on the big road, making sure I do not detour, because the geology of the Mara has a lot of what they call black cotton soil, and the black cotton soil, it becomes very sticky. With a car like this, which is four-wheel drive and is a bit heavy, of course not as heavy as a Land Cruiser, the moment you dig yourself in the black cotton soil and you try to spin the tires, every time you spin you keep digging yourself in. And it becomes a bit tricky like now because most of the tourists are already back in the camp, but at least we are very lucky. We got very special arrangements, with the park management to be out until the time we want, which is very good. So what I'm trying to say, should you get stuck, it may take you a long time before you get help if you don't, unstuck yourself. Not sure what I'm saying, but what we do when we get stuck, we've always got very special high lift jacks. We call them Tanganyika, and a high lift jack can lift almost half the side of the car upwards in one go. So you keep pushing the car up And then what you do, we have a shovel or a spade, and then you put it under one of the tires. And that way you give the tire of that side some grip, not to keep sinking. If need be, you look for small little boulders and you put on the other side of the other tire, and that gives some good grip for either the front tires or the back tires, depending on what direction you have to go. And then you bring the high lift jack down, put it on the side, and slowly you try and move just like a frog until you get the dry land or at the point where the underneath of the car is very clear from the ground. That's the geology of the Mara, and you have learned what to do when you are in those situations. Well, we'll also have a winch. A winch is... Well, the Marshall Club, I think, is only here in the Mara and not anywhere else, because I remember the days I was in Juma. You know, Juma is in an area called the Sami Sands, and what happens, there's a lot of sand there. So you not have the marshmallow club there because you would rarely get stuck. I'm trying to imagine where you'd get stuck. Should you get stuck in Juma, you'd only get stuck in the sand, especially on one of those drainage rivers there, because the sand can be very, very tricky if you get into it. So whatever amount of rain you get in Juma, you only need your rain covers on, and from that, once you have rain covers on, the rain will not have any effect, or the rain will not get you stuck there. But in the Mara, we have had people getting stuck like for hours, and also we have had instances where people get stuck the whole night. And if nobody sees you where you are, and you have tourists, and maybe an area you are, you don't have any good say cell phone signal to call someone, you end up spending the night there. And we call them bush experiences. And when we meet the guests the following morning, they say, well, we survived, we are alive, we didn't get eaten by the hyenas. So that's how exactly it goes out here. Well, June, July, we had very heavy rains in Kenya, and it was really big. What we have now are what we call the short rains, but for me, I wouldn't call them the short rains. They're still very heavy rains. So we're gonna keep trying to stay on the big road, and hopefully we get something on the way. I haven't seen a scrub here, which I've been getting every other evening on my way home. Where we are now, the rains are getting much bigger than before. And you notice our windshield doesn't have any wipers. Proud cat mama, I'll tell you just that's the opposite. The rains actually enhances bigger success for the lions to hunt. So two things help the lions hunting at night: the darkness and the rain, because when it rains, most of the prey, most of the say zebras or wildebeest, they tend to stop and they get confused by the rain, and their senses don't work very well. They don't coordinate very well. The sight, it rains so heavily they can't hear very well. If the rain is too heavy also, they don't see very well. So I would say, proud cat mama, the rains work to advantage of the lions. And I'll not be surprised if that pride brings down some prey tonight. I'll be out here tomorrow morning. I'll be following up, and hopefully, and I'm just thinking, as the rains continue, they'll take advantage of the rain and bring a prey down. Well, the rains keep getting heavy here, but we are still soldiering on. We are still in business, regardless of the rains. Well, let's find out how lucky Pat is with some different kind of predators in South Africa.
Not lucky at all, unfortunately. So we did go and check 2 hyena dens. Both of them have been used by them in the last month or so. So we thought we would check both, but unfortunately no activity. So I'm not sure if they have moved to another den or whether they just weren't going to come out tonight. They haven't been seen for quite a while at this den though, so something tells me that they are not there. I also checked for tracks and I couldn't really see any hyena tracks around the den either. So that is a bit of a mystery. But now I am going to have a look, see if I could find Hosanna. Matt, hyenas move their dens because they don't want predators to know where their young are. So they will quite often move dens tactically as a predator avoidance technique. Now, some people do also say that it's because of parasite load, but hyenas are pretty good with coping with disease and parasites and everything like that, so I'm not sure how true that is, but I do know that it is a predator avoidance technique. It would be nice if they were always in the one spot for us, but that is just nature. So what's my favourite animal, Anna-Marie? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Hey? Oh, my favourite Aussie animal. My favourite Aussie animal. My favourite Australian animal? Ooh. Steve says platypus on the back. So yes, I definitely do love platypus. I've only seen one, but geez, they are some weird creatures. It's just like an evolutionary mashup, isn't it? But for me, I did love seeing a lot of the crocs up north. I was living up in northern Australia for a few months before I came here, and there was an abundance of crocodiles, barramundi, in the rivers and the lakes around my area. And where I come from in Adelaide, we have a Tasmanian devil, Jonathan. Yes, do love Tasmanian devils. They are quite scary creatures. And whether you believe it or not, the thylacine, our kind of version of the saber-toothed tiger sort of, still exists. Or the Tasmanian tiger, it's called. There is a bit of speculation that they have been seen still, and that they're still alive, and I'll actually have to admit, I think I saw one. Me and my girlfriend, we both saw something come out in front of the road, and the only description I can match it to was a Tasmanian tiger. And anyway, we ended up being interviewed about it for a documentary. It was actually quite an interesting documentary. There is some pretty good, strong evidence suggesting that they're still around, but like any conspiracy theory, it's up to you to decide. Yes. Yeah, hopefully I can find you something as interesting here as those creatures. So I did say I'm going to look for Anna. I'm going to go double back to where Sydney was earlier. He has gone a little bit further south to look for him. So I'm going to go and steal his earlier spot and hope that he's decided to come out. Well, let me tag you back out to Sydney and see how he's going in his search.
I am now back again around the quarantine area, and I am very happy to be joined by Pat, who is also looking for the very same Hosanna. Maybe one of us is going to be lucky with him coming from the bushes here. So the thing is, here where we are, there's impalas everywhere, and those are the species which might maybe fascinate him. Instead of going to the waterhole, decide to try and challenge them. Judy, Tandy was last seen around the Torchwood not long time ago, a few days ago, and I have seen her long time ago. Before I went on leave, it has been a very long time ago. So somewhere here where I am is where I have lost Hosanna's tracks this afternoon. He is really hiding somewhere around here. So we are looking everywhere. So we are going to try our last luck by the Galago pen. So you can see how difficult it's going to be for us to find these cats these days. So this bush is now starting to recover. It's not even... So here where I am, the bush is recovering and it's not even yet fully recovered. It's still going to be much thicker than this. And I would like to notify you that we have lost David by the Masai Mara as there is too much heavy storm at the moment. So I am now on the way, Galago shortcut, which is going to the Galago pen. I am not seeing the impalas here in the area now. Maybe it's somewhere around here. He is just running around in circles. And I think the ground here on the road, which is well exposed to the sun, it must be very, very warm. I don't think he would like to lie down in the middle of the road like we used to see him before. He might be now preferring next to the road by the grasses. So I saw some, I'm starting to see the impalas. Pet a lot, because here, every time you drive and you go past an animal, you hear someone calling it in as a sighting after you. That is happening a lot. So sometimes we pass these animals and other people behind us, they find them. Or sometimes other people pass, we come and find them just behind them. So that is happening a lot. A pen is here where I am coming now. These are small water holes which are man-made here, and some of them are naturally occurring and they don't last much longer if it's the water which is accumulated from the rain. So this is the pen. I am right here at the Galago pen. So this is how a pen looks like. So this pen is I didn't get the name of the viewer nicely who asked the question about this pen. So now I'm going to visit another pen nearby. If he's not here, maybe he's going to opt to go to another pen, which is now the Vuyotera pen. Paula, indeed, we still need more rain here in the area. The bush is excited, but quite a lot of water holes, they are not yet having sufficient water to sustain them for the whole year until the next rainy season. So now let's go back to Pat, who is also after Hosanna, and hear what he is having. Maybe he's got some signs already.
Boom, tag back in. So our search is still not going to plan. Well, not going how we would like it to go. We did just check in Galago. No, we didn't. We didn't just check Galago. We just checked the Voyatella pan, and there was no sign of the little chief. He's being very elusive tonight. So now we're heading to Galago pan to try and get a Hail Mary before we end this drive. Now, remember, you can interact with us here. So if you do have any questions or comments, please use that hashtag SafariLive or the YouTube chat stream. Keeping me company out here, well, we have a lack of animals. It is getting a lot harder to see animals now that there's so many trees. All the deciduous trees have got their leaves back. All of the water has made them greener and bigger and denser. And as good as this is, as much as we love to see this, it does make spotting animals very tricky. Very tricky indeed. Sun is almost set here now, so I think now is a good time to be really looking while we still have a little bit of light, but it is cool enough for animals to finally be active after the day. Lara Moore, what African animals are like Australian animals? Well, we do get the kookaburra back home, which is a kingfisher, and we do get some kingfishers over here, obviously the woodland and all the other species that we get this time of year. A lot of our mammals are marsupials, so they have pouches and a lot of different modes of living. So it is quite a distinct kind of unique grouping of animals we have over there. Although we do have some similar snakes. We have tiger snakes in Australia, and I believe we have tiger snakes here, but I think different species. But, I mean, it is completely different here. Completely different. It was a long time ago that... Well, sorry, this is a bit of a bumpy section, sorry everyone. It was a long time ago that Australia did, a bit of a roller coaster, yes. That Australia did split off, so from the continent that Africa and every other country was once connected to. So there has been a lot of time for life to evolve. Whereas Africa itself actually hasn't moved that far. It's kind of just, I think always stayed on the same longitude and only slightly changed latitudes since the supercontinent of Gondwana. So yeah, that obviously difference makes a difference to the animals that you'll find. Justin, do I prefer guiding underwater or on land? Well, that is a tricky one. There's pros and cons to each. Obviously, when I was doing Dive Live, I had to worry about my oxygen, I had to worry about my tank, the cords connected to the cameraman. I always had to be very aware of where he was so he didn't get tangled. Depth, time underwater, my safety stops. So all of that, it was a lot to consider, whereas this is just driving and looking. So in that sense, this is a lot easier. And also we do see a lot more mammals here. I was saying to someone earlier on today that the big difference between this and Dive Live is that Dive Live we didn't have many marine mammals. Here there's a lot of mammals, and obviously we are mammals, so it's a lot easier to relate with and really connect with the mammals. But then the underwater world is just so unique, so beautiful, and so very interesting. It's where life started. It's just so diverse, so there's that. But I definitely enjoy both of them. I mean, this year has just been incredible being able to work these jobs. It's just, I pinch myself just about every single day of my life. Paula, it does sound stressful. I did kind of make it sound a bit stressful, but when you don't have to present anything, diving can be very relaxing. Very, very relaxing. I think it's also because you're hearing your voice, your breath, so you're really focused on your breathing. It's almost like meditating in a way. It really gets you into that calm mind space because you really are focused on the breathing that you're doing. So it's not as stressful as it sounds. Now I've kind of been babbling on a bit and I have kind of got myself a little bit lost. I do apologise. Whilst I relocate, let's tag you back over to Sydney.
I am now going back to check a little bit of the Viola access. Maybe on that main road coming down here, we might be lucky. So there is no tracks at all on these roads here. So the tracks, we saw them just by the other side of the Viola access. So I'm still very convinced that Hosanna is somewhere in this area. Thank you very much, Titi, for the positive words. We are so very much encouraged to look for this beautiful cat here. James, I think I have seen all the interesting nocturnal creatures. I have seen the genets, I have seen both small and large spotted genet. I have seen the cats, the wild cats. I have seen the aardvark. Now I've seen all these interesting nocturnal animals. So now let's go back to Pat, who found some elephants.
Oh, how beautiful is this? Sometimes it does pay to get yourself lost because we have found the cutest little roadblock here in a little baby elephant. And I think its mother is on the left here. We can't see now, but yeah, just in that thicket bit there. And another one on the right. I can hear a few more away in the bushes. But this is just beautiful. Ooh. Moving on very quickly away from us. Wonder. Oh well, that was quite a beautiful sighting. It just popped up just as we were turning the corner, the little baby Ellie, and was not fazed by seeing us at all, which is very beautiful. Angel, yes, definitely the best roadblock. The traffic out here is all biological traffic, and it's never stressful to be stuck behind it at all. I think I'm going to press on because they have moved off into the thickets, and it's a little bit to try and off-road. So I will be making my way to the pan. I have regained my bearings after my little space out. Yes, multitasking is not my finest skill. James, nocturnal animals that I would like to see. Well, I haven't actually gotten a good look at a bush baby yet. So I have seen them, but they've only been fleeting sightings, and they've been hard to see properly, obviously at night time. So I would really like to have a solid amount of time with a bush baby, because I've heard they are absolutely cute. So that's probably my number one nocturnal animal that I still haven't had a proper sighting of just yet. Alright, well, a bit unsuccessful, but that's fun. Let's throw you back over to Sydney and he can say his goodbyes.
So you can see that the impalas are very much pretty relaxed here where I am, and this is the part where we have lost the tracks earlier on towards the quarantine. So the little one is showing you that there's quite a lot of food availability for these kind of predators at the moment. Because some of these little ones, the mothers, they leave them behind under the trees, going for grazing purposes during the day, and that is when some of these predators get a chance to stalk them and hunt them. Some of them don't even know how the predators does their hunting. That's why sometimes when the little ones are caught, you will see predators even playing with these little ones, not even worried, not knowing that these predators are going to kill them. So you can see it's quite a lot of babies, and I can hear the mother is calling. Normally the mother, they do something like that is when they're calling them. It has been a lovely sunny afternoon here in South Africa by the western side of the Greater Kruger National Park with a lot of elephants, and it has been fantastic as well by the Masai Mara in Kenya, where we even saw some rain. And thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. Let's meet again tomorrow morning. You have been very great.